Hi, I'm Anna Runkle, also known as the Crappy Childhood Fairy. And for many of us who grew up with abuse or neglect during childhood, there's this steep learning curve around perception. And by that I mean being able to discern what's true, what's not true, what's my responsibility, and what's not my fault, when I'm in danger, and when maybe I'm just being paranoid. It's common for parents to tell their kids, no, your dad's not drunk, or no, your mom's not acting crazy, or no, no one hit anybody. That was just a dish rack falling off the kitchen counter. And you wanted to believe this, but your whole nervous system was just screaming that you were in danger. And so it's this kind of combination of a blank mind and a freaked out body that puts you in a disconnect. And like all kids, you wanted to get some adult help to get a read on the situation, like, what is this feeling? Is it really okay? Can the neighbors hear what's going on? Is it possible they're calling the cops on us? Am I supposed to just turn this feeling off? And you know, there are 100 ways that this can happen to you, not necessarily with violence or drunkenness, but with any of the weird, crazy, shameful dynamics a family can have. So the point is, if adults lied about the nature of what was going on, saying it was good and normal when everything in you said it was not good and not normal, this scrambles our powers of perception. We end up teaching ourselves to override our good sense because if it feels dangerous, we think it's probably just us. If we feel hurt, maybe we're just being oversensitive. If we feel ashamed, it's probably because we did something. And so you learn that your perceptions can't be trusted. And over time, you find yourself making these huge irrational mistakes where the red flags were all over the place, but as you were taught, you ignored those signs. You ignored the fact that the new guy you're dating maybe is a little bit controlling, or ignored the vague language a boss used around what you would get paid. Or you ignored a gut feeling that you shouldn't walk alone to your car at night. Or sometimes we lose our perception around positive things. We feel just a little bit nervous about a new opportunity, but we confuse that with a gut feeling that there's something wrong with it, and we don't show up. Or we offend people by acting suspicious. Or we become afraid to go out anywhere, even out of the house. That is a misperception. And it can get where you think isolation is safety, and sadness is, nausea, and exhaustion is hunger, and hunger is depression, and you don't even know what's going on inside. And then come the crossed wires around what to do with your feelings. When I was younger and I was interested in a guy, I'd act mean to him. And at the hair cutter, instead of asking for what I wanted, I'd turn into a silent stone right there in the chair, like afraid that if I asked for what I wanted, it would come out as aggressive. And then I worried that the hair cutter would take it out on me by messing up my hair on purpose. It's crazy, right? But I was scared of people and how they saw me. And eventually, I did reteach myself to perceive reality, which is crucial to having any control in your life. So if you struggle with accurate perception, you might want to hear how I did this. First, I took stock as best I could of the areas where my thinking was often distorted. I used to have a really hard time, for example, in a conflict with someone, figuring out what was actually my fault and what was theirs. And this is challenging for everyone, but for people with childhood PTSD, this is a really common trouble spot. I used to think emotionally normal people were either against me or wanting to control me, and that only edgy, troubled people were really alive inside and only they were really capable of understanding me. And I know that sounds weird. Or I used to think the truths revealed when people were intoxicated always represented their true feelings and not what they did or said when they were sober. Or I used to be fuzzy about the right amount of information to tell about myself to other people. And I'm right here on YouTube, right? I've made a career out of TMI, so that may not be the greatest example. But another wrong idea I had was thinking that if I didn't prove myself to everyone and make my abilities known to them, I'd be invisible and overlooked. Okay, so you'll notice that these problems all involve difficulty recognizing and expressing what is true. And the thing is, if you can recognize and say what's true, the spell of distorted thinking is broken immediately. The solution of staying in the truth is simple, even though it can take years to be able to do it, to see and say the truth. So if you were impacted by trauma in childhood, you may have some similar patterns and struggles with knowing what is true. And the great news is, this is something that you can start healing. You can start being in reality, and boy, when you can trust yourself to be in reality, everything in life starts getting better. Relationships, career, money, daily interactions, parenting, the way you solve problems, everything. It doesn't happen automatically, though. It didn't for me. I work very, very hard to perceive what's true and to be real and to keep my words and actions truthful. If you want to learn more about healing childhood PTSD, including discerning what's true and tuning up your perception, come on over to my new membership site, become a member, and you can get access to the longer version of this video where I get into more concrete healing strategies to recover accurate perception. And on the membership side, we go into so many more aspects of not just healing, but developing your true, confident, effective, lovable self. As a member, you also get full access to all my online courses, so check it out. There's a link to the member sign up in the description section below. I'd love to have you on the membership side, and of course, you can always keep watching all my free content. There's all kinds of good stuff here, and if you like it, then you may want to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I love having you here. I love talking about recovery from childhood PTSD, and I hope you have a great week.